Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to At America. Thank you. At America is the US Embassy's American Center, where our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to express, explore, and experience American culture through our diverse programs and facilities we have. Kindly visit our website at www.atamerica.or.id to get more information and do a collaboration with us. And in this special event, me, Farah Shiba, will be your e-guides for today's event. And today's special talk is Past, Present, and Future, 20 years of Indonesia and the United States partnership on disaster response. In today's discussion, we will discuss the evolution and future direction of our disaster response partnership between the United States of America and Indonesia. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's just invite our moderator for today. She is a news anchor NC Today. Everyone, please welcome Sarah Wayne.
Good afternoon, everyone. Selamat sore. Can I have a big round of applause? How are you? Apa kabar? For those of you who are joining us here offline at America and also joining us online. Once again, thank you, Farah, for the introduction. And once again, welcome to Past, Present, and Future 20 Years of Indonesia-U.S. Partnership on Disaster Response. Once again, I'm Sarah Wayne, and I will be moderating this talk show and also this discussion session this afternoon. And as we all know, and because we do live here in Indonesia, Indonesia is a very unique country with its geographical position and also climate conditions. It is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world, from volcanic eruptions being on the ring of fire and also earthquakes to tsunamis and floods. And of course, the need for a disaster management response and also mitigation is one of the things that should be put into account living here in Indonesia. And of course, as we all remember very vividly, the 2004 tsunami that happened in Sumatra, especially in Aceh, has become a wake-up call for us all on how the important need and the urgency of a disaster management system is required here in the country. And of course, it has also shown the importance of preparedness of international cooperation as well. Therefore, the collaboration between the United States and also Indonesia has been crucial in addressing the challenges posed by these natural disasters. Therefore, today, this afternoon, we will be discussing more and delving more deeper into this discussion session as well. So please do allow me to introduce to you and invite onto the stage our esteemed speakers for this discussion session. Our first speaker, please give a round of applause for Admiral Paparo, USN Commander, U.S. Indo-Pacific Command. Admiral Paparo is a highly decorated naval aviator and leader, brings a wealth of experience from his distinguished career in the U.S. Navy, and his extensive service includes commanding the U.S. Pacific Fleet, and now as the commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, he oversees all U.S. military activities in the region. Please give a round of applause once again. Welcome, Admiral. Please do take a seat. Make yourself comfortable. And next, please give a round of applause to Bapak Jeff Cohen from USAID Indonesia Mission Director. Bapak Jeff is a senior foreign service officer who has dedicated his career to international development and humanitarian assistance. His leadership at USAID has been instrumental in advancing disaster response capabilities and fostering development initiatives in Indonesia and beyond. Once again, welcome, Bapak Jeff. Please give a round of applause once more. We love you, Bapak Jeff. There you go. And our third speaker for today is Dr. Raditya Jati, Deputy Minister of System and Strategy from the National Disaster Management Agency, or BNPB. Bapak Radit has played a pivotal role in shaping Indonesia's disaster management strategies. His academic and professional contributions have significantly enhanced the country's preparedness and response mechanisms, making him a key figure in our ongoing efforts to mitigate disaster risk. Once again, please give a round of applause to Bapak Radit. So once again, gentlemen, Welcome to At America. Welcome to our talk show session, our discussion session. Once again, we would like to invite everyone here to please do join in because this will be a discussion. So we hope everyone can actively participate. For those of you who are here at America, please do raise your hand later during the session, and then you can ask the question directly to our speakers. And for those of you joining us online, please do write your name and also your question in the question box provided. So we'll now jump into our session, and we will be talking more about the disaster response and especially how Indonesia and the U.S. has collaborated in fostering this issue together and also mitigating the disaster and also the risk that comes with it. First of all, we'd like to ask Admiral Paparo, especially regarding the collaboration on the U.S.-Indonesia partnership itself. Can you please elaborate on how this has evolved in the past 20 years, especially in the context of disaster management itself, Admiral?
Thank you, Sarah. We have a very rich military exercise programs, and although it may be counterintuitive with regard to disaster management, these relationships between the two militaries that we foster while we are exercising together builds the one-on-one relationships from military to military that in times of disaster will lead us to be able to work together during the disaster itself. And so exercise such as Super Garuda Shield or Combined Afloat Readiness and Training, which we just completed here recently, Super Garuda Shield, which will occur here in August, and then Indonesia's capstone exercise, Komodo, here coming up in February. These partnered exercises, these are vast exercises which are executed through the principles of sovereignty for Indonesia. These provide combined training. And so, of course, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief. Disaster relief is a very important mission for militaries, maybe the highest mission that we have to serve our populations. And so when that unforgiving hour comes, when we must serve our populations and when we must serve our partners, these become very important. And I have vivid memories myself of serving in the Pacific on December 26th, 2004. I was serving on USS Kitty Hawk. My very dear friends were serving on USS Abraham Lincoln when the tsunami struck Aceh province. And USS Abraham Lincoln was one of the very first U.S. units on the scene to serve the people in Aceh province when 250,000 people lost their lives. And this was a very profound event in all of our lives. It probably touched many people here in this very audience's lives. So these exercises serve us with the ability to be interoperable, to be able to communicate, to be able to see the environment, to be able to communicate with each other on the radio, to be able to build a picture, to be able to land on each other's helicopter decks, to be able to operate together. And the lessons learned then manifested themselves in the Palu tsunami here just very recently when we were able to operate and provide aid to each other. And then those lessons learned manifest themselves today itself. And in fact, at United States Indo-Pacific Command, we have a Center for Excellence for Disaster Management where we constantly cultivate these lessons learned and we share those with partners. And so 20 years on, we're always cultivating these relationships so that it's not just about with our military power, it's not just about military action, it's about taking hands that sometimes carry a rifle, and it's sometimes about lending a helping hand with those hands, and that is probably sometimes our very highest duty.
Lending a hand, of course, and we value the partnership as well because, as you mentioned before, we still vividly remember what happened and probably from the documentations as well for the younger generations what catastrophe it was during the tsunami in 2004. And now we'd like to also ask more because we have Bapak Jeff here from USAID who has collaborated in many ways with Indonesia, especially in improving the country's ability and also capability in disaster response. But Papa Jeff, can you please tell us the work that USAID have been doing the past years, especially in terms of disaster response?
Sarah. I appreciate it. And I have a couple slides that I want to show. I think I want to highlight, again, the 75th anniversary of our bilateral relationship. And in November last year, President Jokowi and President Biden met in the White House to elevate our partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership. And what that means is working more and more together. And I think that disaster preparedness and mitigation is one of those areas where we've done quite a bit of work together. And in all honesty, the thanks goes to BNPB for all the resilience that has been built in Indonesia over that time. Next slide, please. December 26, 2004, and as the Admiral mentioned, a terrible tragedy hit. 250,000 Indonesians lost their lives, and the world came to respond to support Indonesia. Part of the reason for that was Indonesia at the time, and in fact no country could have withstood such a traumatic event on its own. And so the world came to help Indonesia. Next slide, please. USAID and the military, U.S. military, and other parts of the U.S. government, some of the folks in this room today, local NGOs, international NGOs, came and provided assistance. In all total, U.S. government provided more than $400 million worth of assistance to Indonesia. And at that time, we helped more than 500,000 Indonesians with our support. We provided relief workers, we provided temporary shelters, we provided food and clothing and all kinds of assistance. Next slide, please. The U.S. military provided assets, helicopters, the Mercy hospital ship that provided critical emergency care for those afflicted by the disaster, always working with the government of Indonesia. For those of you who are in the audience today that were here at that time, there wasn't a central disaster mechanism management system in place. And so the tsunami taught Indonesia how to respond to these types of emergencies. And we'll talk a little bit about the results. Next slide, please. USAID and our partners, again, some of whom are in the room today, we built houses. We provided brand new markets for the public markets that were destroyed to get the economy moving again. Next slide, please. And then here, some of our most famous contributions were in the reconstruction effort. We built a road, a highway, 146 kilometers of highway from Aceh to Chalang, investing $280 million, a highway that lives on today. And I'll tell you, I just visited Banda Aceh recently with someone from a village that was wiped out from the tsunami. He lost his entire family. He luckily was in Jakarta at the time for him, but his family was lost, and he and I stood on that road and looked down the highway at a situation where the U.S. government was able to reconstruct and rebuild lives in order to provide livelihoods to the people who were impacted by the horrific tsunami. And we were able to change the travel time from 12 hours down to 3.5 hours, improving the flow of commerce in the area. And then my last slide, I just want to show, there's another picture there. Sorry, go back. The other picture is of coffee seedlings. We partnered in the aftermath of the tsunami with Starbucks coffee. How many of you folks in the audience drink Starbucks coffee? I hope a lot. Well, I can tell you that if you ever have a Starbucks coffee that says Sumatra on it, it most likely was supported by this project. While we expended $280 million on building a road, we've also generated $280 million in coffee sales through Starbucks through this project that we started in Aceh back in the post-tsunami era. So drink your Starbucks coffee, especially the Sumatra brand. It goes to farmers who are in Aceh. Last slide, please. I think this is telling. This is a chart that shows over time. Back in the early 2000s, USAID and the U.S. government, the U.S. military were responding to 3, 4, 5, 6 disasters per year in Indonesia, meaning the government and people of Indonesia needed outside help to respond to disasters. And as we learned earlier, talking at BNPB earlier today, there are thousands of disasters every year, 15 disasters every day in Indonesia. But what's telling, what is really the story that I want to inculcate, is that over time, our partnership with BNPB, with the U.S. military, has built the Indonesian capacity to respond in the face of its own disasters. So much so that now BNPB in Indonesia responds outside of Indonesia to disasters in the region and across the world, recently responding to an earthquake in Turkey. So building that capacity, building that resilience through the people-to-people ties that our partnership has created is really the success story of coming out of a disaster and leading to resilience. And so that's what I think we're commemorating and celebrating 20 years after the tsunami.
Commemorating, and we are celebrating the resilience that we have together built together. And now we would like to ask Pak Radit here, because it was mentioned that BNPB has now built its resilience, especially Indonesia's resilience as well, its capabilities in answering and also recovering from the disasters which continuously happen in Indonesia, because we are in the Ring of Fire and we're a very disaster-prone country. May you please tell us more and share with us, how has Indonesia benefit from this collaboration, also partnership between the U.S. and also Indonesia itself?
Thank you, Sarah. So first I may say that a very good collaboration with the U.S. and also USAID and also to Indonesia. And at that time, 20 years ago, we have a wake-up call, the Indian Ocean tsunami that was happening in Aceh. It was more than 250,000 people have passed away. I think this is the moment that we have to be resilient at that time. Preventing and also mitigation is one of the most important things, including simulation and exercise is one of the things that we must do, because without exercising, we never know what will be done if there's a response happening. And with this wake-up call, I think at that time, 2005, the global mention about the Hugo framework that on disaster risk reduction that have been agreed with the UN countries, and I think this is one of the things that now the spirit to bring up until now, the Sendai framework and so on. But we want to appreciate not only the partnership and also collaboration, but we want to say this is a friendship of Indonesia and US, that we really have the important moment at that time. We have been supported by the logistic, the military, and medical experts and everything at that time, because there was no one that can also help at that time. Even the military is one of the things that inside of the emergency response. And now, actually, because of this wake-up call, we don't want to have another wake-up call. And with this natural hazard that we have in the country, we have more than 5,000 disasters increasing now. But of course, resilience is very important. We want to have less people casualty. We want to have less people displaced, less social economic impact, and also infrastructure. So I think it's very important also what the commander mentioned about the 2004 collaboration is a moment that we have to wake up. And also Jeff mentioned about what now the people in Aceh call the American highway or American road, that they say is the best road have been made in Indonesia at that time. So I think with this collaboration we have to continue again to make ourselves resilient, because the future crisis, the future disaster is coming, and we have to be prepared on that.
We have to be prepared. And as mentioned before as well by the Admiral, that helping or lending a hand is the highest duty of the military itself, Pak Radit. But can you please tell us more on especially how has the involvement of the military, especially the US military, in collaboration with Indonesia, has enhanced Indonesia's disaster response capabilities throughout the years?
Yeah, thank you. Of course, since 2004 also, and then until some disaster that had happened, including until 2018 in Palu, and then afterward, I think every disaster that happened in Indonesia, the USAID also supported us, including Mentawai earthquake and tsunami at that time in October 2010, also have helped people to help on a logistic that have happened impact. Sulawesi earthquake tsunami also was one of the things that the military from the US also support the Indonesian government also for the people that have been impacted by the tsunami. Not only tsunami at that time, because there was a earthquake, tsunami, liquefaction, and also there's some flood. So I think this is one of the wake-up call also at that time in 2018, because we have 3 major disasters in NTB, Palu, and also in Pandeglang. And then also impacted of the Semeru volcano, also from PACOM, US PACOM also giving us the logistic with the USAID also to help us in Indonesia. So I think this is continuing and continuing. I think with the support of the US, also the Indonesian working together collaboratively, I think is very important to have this laying hand to help each other. I think we can also support in other cases from Indonesia that Jeff has also mentioned. Now Indonesia is also helping other countries, including from Turkey, from Pakistan, Syria, and until Vanuatu. I think this is one of the things that now Indonesia is also laying hand with other countries.
Other countries that need a helping hand as well. All right, Admiral Paparo, it was mentioned before that, of course, Indonesia has experienced catastrophic events recently, which is in 2018 with the earthquake in Palu and Tebe, and also the Semeru, which happened as well. Can you please also share with us from the U.S. military, how has the military itself supported Indonesia throughout the disasters that happened recently?
Well, I mean, you know, as you see, USNS Mercy, and USNS Mercy is a hospital ship that is capable of traveling around the world. The original purpose of USNS Mercy is to be a mobile hospital to treat casualties, and there's a great tradition of it in the Second World War. And it recently sailed on Pacific Partnership and traveled throughout the world to provide aid to impoverished communities that otherwise would not have access to health care. It is the 8th largest hospital in the entire world, and traveled the world to some people that have never seen one. And it was in 2004 that it came to Aceh province and provided comfort and care to the people in need that used it. And you saw that the helicopters, actually it was the water-making capability of USS Abraham Lincoln with its 2 reactors that were on constant duty distilling ocean water to deliver fresh water when there was none. And helicopters that were on constant brigade work, bringing fresh water to populations over and over again. And it's that ability to bring lift, to bring supplies to people over and over again. Those were the lessons that we learned in 2004, that logistical capability to bring care to people, and then the sharing of those lessons along. And then we continue to work together and share lessons learned. And those lessons don't just go one way, they go both ways. And so, you know, we just had a seminar just moments ago where we learned those lessons in Indonesia's vast geography and in the Ring of Fire across its thousands of islands. And Indonesia is a vast country. It is the 4th largest country by population in the world. America is a big country geography-wise, the 3rd largest country in the world by population. We have a lot to learn from each other. I think everybody knows that in the state of Hawaii, we just suffered a tremendous tragedy with the Maui wildfires, a hurricane, and winds whipped up, and there was a terrible wildfire with tremendous loss of life. These lessons, Sarah, go both ways. This is an equal partnership among equal nations, over 75 years of partnership with intelligent people that go both ways. And so we have the Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies, and there are many alumni here in this room right now. And so we learn a lot from one another on learning these lessons. And these are the lessons of this congregation right here, these lessons of diversity, democracy, and prosperity. And these are the principles of these 75 years of partnership right now. These are the lessons of our exercise programs, and this is really the power of the friendship, of the relationship over 75 years, and what it is to be leaders in the Indo-Pacific across this vast geography.
All right, Admiral. And can you please also share with us even more? Because, of course, we agree that this can happen through a successful collaboration, an equal partnership, and shared collaboration, shared understanding of each side. But can you please tell us more of the examples from your experience in the important role of international humanitarian contributions in disaster response? International humanitarian contributions in disaster response, and especially the collaboration between all partners.
Yes, well, when the international community comes together, that convening power of having many partners come together, it has an inherent peacemaking capability when international partners all come together, when it has that power, and that just makes it all the more powerful.
All right, it has more power, becoming more powerful when it comes together. Yes. And Pat Jeff, can you please also emphasize more regarding the international humanitarian contributions from USAID's perspective? How does USAID in particular coordinate with other international agencies and also the local organizations here in Indonesia during the large-scale disaster responses, which we have experienced in the past as well?
Thank you, Sarah. So the U.S. government is the largest contributor across the world to disaster response, and anywhere, for anyone, at any time, we will respond. USAID has the leadership role from the U.S. government, but we cannot work alone. We work in lockstep with our military colleagues. We work with the U.S. Forest Service when it's fire prevention. We work with the USGS, the Geological Survey, when it's dealing with volcanoes or earthquakes. And what we do is we provide resources and expertise. Before a disaster, we help train local NGOs or local governments or local militaries how to better prepare for that day when something bad happens. And it's on that day when you find out really who your friends are. And I think USAID's symbol, our logo, is a hand clasp, two hands grasping each other in friendship. And that's the symbol of us reaching out and saying we're here to help. But we help out through local government organizations. We help out through local non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations, and the idea, UN organizations. The idea is to bring leadership and coordination and resources to solve a problem, to not duplicate efforts, but to be coordinated. A lot of times it's the United Nations that steps forward and through their cluster system organizes the response, and then we provide our resources behind it and our expertise. Sometimes it's military helicopters, sometimes it's a local truck, sometimes it's a Peace Corps volunteer out in the field who's delivering care and services to their local community with support of a local NGO. I think it's communication, it's collaboration, it's friendship, and making good on our promise to look out for each other in your worst day.
Sarah, if I may, I didn't
Please.
quite understand your question, so it just dawned on me. You asked personal experience internationally too. I think you mean the earthquake in Pakistan, disaster relief in Haiti, Fukushima Daiichi in Japan. I mean the experiences in disaster relief internationally and convening on those lessons learned. And to be able to bring those lessons learned in preparedness and being prepared and being able to respond quickly and being able to, and then to be able to transition and recover and to always have those lessons learned and to share those lessons broadly always enables our ability to be prepared for disaster. And thank you for that clarity.
Being prepared and also establishing a quick response when it comes. So, Pak Radit, what are the most important strategies that have been implemented or will be implemented in Indonesia regarding disaster risk reduction and also its management? Because, as mentioned before, we have to be able to be prepared and also respond quickly.
Thank you, Sarah. So, the challenge is actually that risk or disaster is something that is unpredictable and also uncertainty. We have this kind of thing that is not secure. That's why preparedness and also readiness should be there. So Indonesia, this is the first time that Indonesia have the long-term policy or regulation, President Decree number 87, 2020. This is until Indonesia-U.S. or 100 years of the golden years of Indonesian independence, which is 2045 should be the national resilience from disaster. So with this roadmap, actually regulation transfer from institutional capacity supported by USAID, for example, like how the people at the local level and also how to deal with the disaster. ICS is one of the things that we have to learn during the command system, during the disaster itself. So with this kind of roadmap, not only on risk reduction itself, but in this three phase of disaster, preparedness or prevention, and then emergency response, and also post of disaster, including rehabilitation, reconstruction. So this all phase of disaster is included into the regulation, but regulation must be implemented. If not, it's just a hallucination because there's nothing to be implemented. So that's why we have to be really implementing in the local level where localization is a very important issue on this time. As a archipelagic state, Indonesia, we have a large of island and coastal line. Of course, we have very hazardous things that disaster is there. So we have to be prepared accordingly on which area are we staying, coastal area, mountainous or volcanic, or even in the river basin. So this is how the community or people center deal when the disaster happen.
Pak Radit, aside from Indonesia being in the Ring of Fire and how its geographical location is prone to disaster, we have now, of course, have acknowledged climate change challenges which we face every single day. Can you please tell us what major climate change related risk is Indonesia facing right now, which everyone needs to be prepared?
Sure, Sarah. So I'm thank you for raising these issues on climate change because during the global platform for disaster reduction at that time, our president, Bapak Joko Widodo, mentioned about the sustainable resilience, where climate change, disaster reduction, and SDGs should be implemented from the post-2015 agenda. It cannot be in silo, working on only climate change, working only on disaster to achieve, because this is complex and systemic. It means that risk is very cascading and collateral impact. We cannot mention only one single risk, but actually it can impact to hunger or even on education and so on. So I think we have to work together on how we can really comprehensively mention about disaster risk reduction as a driving force for the climate change and also the target of the SDG. So this is now included in our framework, and next in September, we will have the Global Forum for Sustainable Resilience discussion, and this will be included into the framework of the national plan. So I think we have to work on that, on how we can collaborate each other and bridge among us. Thank you.
And always be prepared. But Jeff, how is USAID helping Indonesia or partnering with Indonesia, especially mitigating climate change challenges?
Sarah, we work across all kinds of different sectors focused on climate change resilience. We work in the upper watershed to make sure that communities are protecting their upper watershed, protecting their water sources, planting trees so that if there is heavy rain, it won't cause flooding downstream that impacts people's lives. We work with local partners, some of them are here, that work at the village level, making sure that families and villages have plans. They do risk mapping. They know where the problems are. They know where the resources are. They know that if something happens, this is the plan to follow. Who has the truck? What do you do with the animals? In the case of a volcano, how do you evacuate your animals because they're your livelihood? So we work with the community level. We work at that local government level to prepare for those eventualities that can happen, to prepare for the unexpected. And then you train. And I think the military does a great job in training. You have to, over and over again practice so that it becomes muscle memory. You know how to respond in the face of a disaster. And whether it's climate change related heavy rains during La Nina or El Nino dry season, or forest fires caused during the dry season, all of these climate events cause risk. You have to understand those risks, better prepare for those risks. And USAID works with BNPB, local governments, national government entities to ensure that people are thinking ahead, looking down the road. What if? What if there's an earthquake tomorrow? How will we respond? And I think you see all over Indonesia the signs, and I mean real signs, of how that's managed. Every building you're in Indonesia has a signage. How do you get out of this building? Before an event, they usually tell you, what's the disaster plan that you're going to go through in this meeting room, in this movie theater, to make sure that people are prepared. And I think the more you do that, the more USAID works with BNPB, with the U.S. military, to better prepare society for that worst day of your life, the better off people will be, because we're going to have protected more people, saved more lives, and protected more livelihoods.
All right. And of course, because it's also widely known that most casualties are usually because of the panic that is caused, not from the disaster itself. And as mentioned, that we need to have that muscle memory, which is, of course, we can be able to achieve from training, and the military has, of course, been doing great training in terms of helping to prepare for when a disaster comes. Admiral, can you please add on this as well, on being prepared for
Well, I think
any risk?
first, our Naval Meteorological and Oceanographic Command has the supercomputer capability to better understand the patterns, better understand ocean rise, climate patterns, and to be able to information share so that we can better understand when and where there will be an El Nino or a La Nina, and to be able to information share with our partners. And then instead of responding to climate events, pre-position humanitarian assistance, disaster relief packages within our forces so that we can better prepare, and then our exercise programs throughout to train and to be responsive through Pacific Partnership. All of this, and in partnership, and to get better and better partnerships with our civilian partners to be better prepared and respond to climate disaster. So not just better understanding and information sharing, but training to respond quickly.
Training to respond quickly. Okay. And Pa Radit, going forward, in what key areas do you wish, or what Indonesia seeks to see in collaboration with the United States, especially in terms of strengthening our disaster management capabilities?
Thank you, sir. So I think this is an open opportunity for all of us. Exchange of knowledge and also capacity building is one of the things that we needed now, actually, to see the change of behavior or awareness, collective awareness that people are living in the high-prone area, and how do they deal with it? So to be resilient. So I've heard that Commander Admiral have the Center of Excellence that can be also collaborate with the. We have also Center of Excellence that have been established around 3 weeks ago with the Asia-Pacific for water and climate resilience. So I think this is the chance that we collaborate together, even on science and also institutional capacity that is now. Risk mapping actually is one of the things that we want to have for the detail in a very detailed scale, that because of this coastal area and the high prone for tsunami and so on. So I think we're working on that now, on also the plan that should be implemented at provincial and at the local level. So with this kind of structural plan, including contingency plan and operational plan, I think we can do the exercise then with the military, because we have a good collaboration in civilian and military here now, and I think this is the future cooperation that we can also gain. Again, thank you very much.
Yes, and now, thank you, Padet. And from, yes, USAID.
I would just like to add, because I'm looking around the room and I see some of our partners' familiar faces. Climate change affects livelihoods. For example, Indonesia is an island nation of 17,000 islands and has a lot of fisher people, right, whose livelihood depends on fishing. You have to have climate insurance for those fishers in case there's a shock to the economy, to the fish population that causes them harm in their livelihoods. So insurance, and that goes across the board, not just insurance for fisher people, but insurance for property. You need to protect the coastal areas. President Jokowi has pushed really hard over the last several years for more mangrove restoration and rehabilitation. We've worked with the American Red Cross here in the past, and into the future, U.S. government will be supporting Indonesia as it seeks to protect and replant 600,000 hectares of mangroves across the country. And that's a joint effort, not just with U.S. government, but other partners. So protecting the urban environments, what they call nature-based solutions, building more parks in cities, making sure that there are more trees that capture carbon. All of these activities are ways that you can reduce the CO2 emissions, and hopefully mitigate some of the negative effects of climate change.
Radit, you'd like to
Mangrove for the future.
Mangrove for the future. There you go. And now, Admiral, from your point of view, and also what are your future goals, especially regarding from the military, and the joint exercise, probably from the programs, especially in enhancing the partnership in disaster management between our two countries?
Well, the ethos of any person that's in the military is to never be satisfied with your levels of readiness, to never be complacent and rest on one's laurels. So I think one goal is to work on our people-to-people exchanges with our international military education and training programs. We currently have 400 members of the Indonesian military in some form of training in U.S. programs, and we'd like to increase that because there's no substitute for those people-to-people exchanges. And we have, in fact, I had the very high honor of meeting 2 superb young cadets that are going into the U.S. Naval Academy and U.S. Military Academy this morning. And then every quarter I get to engage with Indonesian officers at the Asia-Pacific Center for Security Studies, for example, to get more ready, to have more capability stationed forward for that unforgiving hour when there is a disaster, to recognize that it is our highest duty to be ready. And so those are our goals moving forward, to be better trained, to be more ready, and to never be satisfied with our state of readiness.
To be better trained and to be ready and to be never satisfied with our state of readiness. All right, thank you very much. Please give your applause for our speakers. And now we have reached the question and answer session. Gentlemen, for now we will invite those of you who are in the audience, if you'd like to ask a question or probably share your experiences and stories with our speakers, please do raise your hand. Are there anyone in the audience? Okay, we have a few. Please, committee, to pass on the microphone. And for those of you who are here, who are joining us online, you can also post your question in the question box or in the comment box. Don't forget, by stating your name and also to whom the question is addressed to. All right, we'll begin with our first question. Who has the microphone? Okay, can you please stand up and also state your name and where institution you are from and to whom the question is addressed to, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Acuju Benzidekrita. You can call me Cio. I'm from UPN Veteran Jakarta. And I want to ask a question. Based on the story of tsunami Aceh in 2004, what challenges and or obstacles have Indonesia and the United States faced in coordinating their disaster management efforts, and how Indonesia and the United States work to overcome these challenges when the tragedy happened? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please give a round of applause for Gio. What challenges have Indonesia and U.S. faced in coordinating the efforts, especially regarding the tsunami which happened in 2004? You may first, Admiral, you may share first with your experiences.
I'd say communication and coordination were the main challenges at that time. And so communication is getting on the same network, overcoming language barriers were some of the earlier, and then just overcoming the relationship issues early on. And we already discussed on some of the ways that we do that is the people-to-people relationship. Right now, we're celebrating 20 years of that partnership, and it has been a deliberate process. And it's not just in humanitarian assistance, disaster relief. It's in every single thing that we do. Just in the mission, in the diplomatic mission that we have here, in our people-to-people exchanges, in our security cooperation programs, in every single thing that we do across every single mission set, in every single way, we get better in every single way that we do. And we can never be satisfied. And we're readier today than we were on that day in 2004. And though in November of this year, we will have a seminar, Indonesia will hold a seminar in Aceh. And that seminar, the focus of that seminar will not be to celebrate, it'll be to teach and to learn, and for us to learn together to move forward. And I think that's precisely the goal, which will be to get better, to become more interoperable, And so I think it is in the teaching and the learning is how we overcome those challenges. Gio, thank you for your question.
Teaching and learning. And from Paradit, from your experience
yeah.
and perspective?
We have to learn from mistake that happened 20 years ago. I mean, like reflecting the 20 years of anniversary commemoration of the Indian Ocean tsunami Aceh, we have to learn what can be done forward afterwards. So, of course, the challenge, of course, we are facing is always coming anew. It's very dynamic because if you learn from Aceh, actually Aceh have severe tsunami before. Like there's a Gua Island is a cave that have the sedimentation, and the tsunami actually already happened since 7,000 years ago. So it's coming and coming again. So if you look at the Gua Island or cave, this cave, you can see the sedimentation, the tsunami that happened. Learning from that, it will happen again. So, of course, we have to be ready. So the challenge is how to put people aware with this collective awareness that people are now living in this hazardous area. So I think the education is one of the things going forward, literation, and to understand what we should do. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Jeff.
So for those of you who were here 20 years ago, and I see young people here who may have been very young, Indonesia had an issue in Aceh. And not because of the tsunami or as a result of the tsunami, but after the tsunami, Indonesia came back together and signed a peace agreement that has led to, I think, much more advancement across Indonesia because of it. Because of as a result of the tsunami, people came together and helped each other out and came together as a nation. I think Indonesia learned how to do great things, big things together in the face of challenges, and how to rely on friendship and partners from across the world to do that. And to me, those are the really important lessons learned, whether it's building a road along the coast in Aceh or building a teacher's training university. The things that were done after the tsunami or selling more Starbucks coffee to the world from Sumatra, these are all things that brought people together in a positive way that demonstrated resilience. And I think, to me, the important thing that came out of it was Indonesia was able to do that, to come out of danger and violence into a positive place of working together for a brighter Indonesian future. And I think the 20 years since the tsunami and then 20 years ahead looking at Indonesia-U.S. are really important to take those lessons learned of working together in a positive way. I think that's crucially important for Indonesia.
But Jeff, do you know what the nickname for coffee is in the United States of America?
Yes.
It's Java.
There you go. You may give a round of applause.
That's true.
All right, and now we will continue. Yes,
No, it's Java's thing.
don't we wish we have a cup of Java right here?
Cup of Java, yeah.
A cup of Java.
There's a Starbucks downstairs, I think. We can all go after.
All right, yes, we have another question right here. Can we pass on the microphone from our committee? Please do stand up and state your name and also your institution and to whom the question is addressed to. Silakan.
Thank you so much indeed for this opportunity, the Honorable Admiral.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed for inviting me. I've heard the sentence from Mr. Harlan Victor Hale. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. He said that based on our maybe this program, but we have the plan. The most important thing, the most crucial thing, how to help the victim of the disaster in the first 72 hours. And Harlan Victor Hill mentioned that, of course, in this case, U.S. may help from 1,000 ways. But Harlan Victor Hill mentioned that the fastest one, through non-government, the non-government, what we call it, LSM, non-government official. So I really want you to scrutinize in detail, actually, how you conduct your help. Because as we do realize that we have more than 17,000 island inhabitants and inhabitants. We are, as the biological and cultural differences, the highest country of biological cultural differences. I rather, little bit doubt when Harun Victor Hill mentioned through the non-government official. Perhaps that's not 100% right. Maybe there are many another 1,000 perspective in terms of statement. But I really want you to explain to us. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause. How can you effectively conduct the help that is needed, the assistance needed, especially regarding the first 72 hours, the most critical hours after a disaster has struck an area, especially in Indonesia with its more than 17,000 islands and also the cultural differences?
Yes. Well, I think, what I believe the most important element in this is really the pre-planning, and that I think it's a responsibility to pre-position humanitarian supplies worldwide. And the most important supply to have pre-positioned is fresh water. Is that you can go, I'm sorry? You can go some time without food, but fresh water is very, very important. And so BNPB has got a visionary plan of pre-positioning warehouses throughout Indonesia, and has asked for INDOPACOM's assistance in building out those warehouses, and a network of warehouses and a network of vertical lift to get fresh water and to get food to those locations. And so I think that planning to get fresh water, to get food, and to get medical care to vulnerable populations is extremely important. I have tremendous faith in Indonesia's disaster relief coordination to be able to do that, and I pledge INDOPACOM's assistance. And not speaking for Jeff, but I know USAID's capability to work with that is also quite capable. So that's my view. I appreciate your skepticism. I think that skepticism is healthy. I think you're right to be skeptical of that. I think I should be skeptical and apply a questioning attitude to our own capabilities as well. And so I think that's a healthy attitude.
Yes, please, Jeff, you'd like to add?
So I know Harlan, and I know from whence he speaks, but I have to say that what Indonesia has demonstrated over 20 years, and I think 20 years ago maybe the capacity was in the non-governmental organizations, but as decentralization has taken hold and more capacity has been built up at the village, at the kabupaten, at the district level, at the city level, at the provincial level, as BNPB has become an organization over 16 years and built its own capacity, its own linkages to those local government entities, it's really how organizations work together that can best respond in the face of a disaster. I worked a lot with local governments. A mayor is going to get that first knock in that first 72 hours. And the mayor, he or she needs to be ready to respond with local resources and also be able to reach back to the central government to say, hey, we're running out of this, we need your help here. And the same thing goes with international response. If USAID needs to move a large quantity of food from one place to the other, sometimes we need our friends in the US military to help us do that. So I think it's the coordination that needs to happen between the local government, the NGOs, the private sector, because the private sector has a role to play here too, as do churches and mosques and religious organizations. Everyone has to be coordinated and to respond, and that's where that incident command system, even at that local village level, is important. People need to know their roles, need to know where resources are, and how to move those resources to the most needy part of that action.
All right, thank you, Pak Jeff, for the addition. And from Pak Radit, would you like to
Yeah,
add?
I would like to add also from the incident command system that we have been also working together with the U.S. military and also the USAID and also raising the capacity. Now we're also increasing the progress of the capacity of the village level with the program of Destana, Desa Tangguh Bencana. And I think they're the one who's the most on the front line, and also the local government. I agree, Jeff, that also the local bupati or mayor they are now in the front line, even the governor, if they impacted also transboundary with other of the kabupaten or kota. So now you can see most of the disaster happened now is going well. I mean, the progress is in progress. Again, learning from mistake. Now we're coordinating is ongoing. I think we have seen from the last disaster that happened in Sumatra Barat and also in Sulawesi Selatan that had just happened several weeks or months ago is already coordinated well by the local government and also partnering from the national government, BNPB, to the local disaster management authority. So I think we're in progress. Thank you.
We're in the progress. Thank you very much, Pak Radit. Once again, please give a round of applause. Thank you for the question. And we apologize due to the limited time available. That was the last question that can be asked during the session. But if you do have other questions, probably we can answer or probably ask them directly right after this session or this event. Once again, please give a round of applause for our speakers. Thank you for your insights and especially your contributions. And we, of course, everyone here, we agree that we hope that this partnership can, going forward, enhance response capabilities, build better resilience against future disaster, and especially ensure that both nations, Indonesia and also the United States, are well prepared to address emerging threats. Because as mentioned by Admiral Paparo, that no one can never be too prepared. Once again, please give a round of applause, and I thank you for your attendance, and I return the event and stage to Farah.
All right, thank you so much, Kak Sarah. And also, thank you so much to our distinguished speakers and moderators for their enlightening presentation for our session today, Past, Present, and Future, 20 Years of Indonesia and the United States Partnership on Disaster Response. And we hope that this discussion will inspire continued collaboration and innovation in disaster management, ensuring stronger and effective disaster mitigations for our resilient communities in the future. And if you're interested to know more about AdAmerica, kindly visit our website at www.atamerica. Also, follow our social media pages. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, and also in YouTube in AT America. With that, my name is Farah, and see you at the next AdAmerica event. Goodbye. Okay, now I would like to invite